Our cover story is about a diplomatic thaw that's shaking up South Asia's fragile fault lines. The unprecedented visit of Afghanistan's Foreign Minister Mawlawi Amir Muttaqi to India. It's not just a reset, it's a seismic shift. We'll tell you why, but first a quick word about the man at the center of it all. Mawlawi Amir Muttaqi is the Taliban's acting foreign minister. Mawlawi is a title, it means an Islamic scholar. Now, born in 1970 in Afghanistan's dusty Helmand province, Muttaqi cut his teeth as a young jihadi fighting the Soviets in the 1980s. He fled to Pakistan as a refugee and steeped himself in religious studies. In October 1996, following the Taliban's capture of Kabul, he became the acting Minister of Information and Culture and the official spokesperson for the group. He went on to become the Education Minister in the year 2000. Today, he is the face of a regime that's desperate for legitimacy. He is one of several Taliban leaders who is under UN sanctions. There's a travel ban against him and his known assets are frozen. So how did this visit come about and why is it being called unprecedented? Let me break it down for you. On 30th September, the UN Security Council's Taliban Sanctions Committee, chaired by Pakistan no less, granted Muttaqi a rare exemption. It enabled him to visit India from the 9th to the 16th of October. No Taliban leader had set foot in India since the group recaptured Kabul on 15th August 2021. So Muttaqi is the first top Taliban minister to visit New Delhi for talks that could potentially rewrite the neighborhood's rule book. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met Mawlawi Muttaqi in person for the first time on 10th October. Now, towards the end of their talks, India announced its decision to further deepen cooperation in healthcare, public infrastructure and capacity building. India also announced the delivery of food supplies to those affected by the recent earthquake. Minister Jaishankar handed over 5 ambulances to the Afghan minister as well. This was part of a larger gift of 20 ambulances and other medical equipment that India has decided to send to Kabul as a gesture of goodwill. For its part, the Afghan side invited Indian companies to invest in the mining sector. Minister Jaishankar had one other announcement to make. Take a listen.
India is fully committed to the sovereignty, territorial integrity and independence of Afghanistan. Closer cooperation between us contributes to your national development as well as regional stability and resilience. To enhance that, I am pleased to announce today the upgrading of India's technical mission in Kabul to the status of Embassy of India.
And it is a big announcement, no doubt. So does it mean that India recognizes the Taliban government? Yes, says former Indian ambassador Dilip Sinha.
Fact is that when Muttaqi came today, he has been welcomed as the foreign minister of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, which is the formal name that the Taliban give to their government. So it is a formal recognition.
Now, I should add that the thaw in India's ties with the Taliban did not happen overnight. The ice has been melting for some time. In fact, the ball was set rolling immediately after the Taliban stormed Kabul in 2021. India's ambassador to Qatar at the time met Sheikh Mohammed Abbas Tanakzai, the head of Taliban's political office in Doha, on 31st August, a little over a fortnight after Taliban came to rule Afghanistan for the second time in 2 decades. The envoy raised India's concern that Afghanistan's soil should not be used for anti-Indian activities and terrorism. In November 2024, an Indian diplomat, J.P. Singh, called on Afghanistan's acting defense minister, Mullah Muhammad Yaqubs, the son of Taliban's late founder, Mullah Muhammad Omar, in Kabul. Mullah Omar was also the Amir of Afghanistan between 1996 and 2001. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri called on Muttaqi in Dubai in January 2025. Muttaqi hosted an Indian diplomat Anand Prakash in Kabul on 27th April. Minister Jaishankar spoke to Muttaqi in May. The phone call took place after the Taliban government condemned the 22nd April terror attack at Pahalgam in India. Jaishankar spoke to Muttaqi again in the immediate aftermath of the 31st August earthquake that struck eastern Afghanistan. India delivered 1,000 family tents and 15 tons of food material as quake relief. So what explains the rethink in both New Delhi and Kabul? Pragmatism, pure and simple. India would be looking to resume cooperation with Afghanistan across a range of areas such as trade, education, healthcare, food security, mobility, connectivity, infrastructure development, and humanitarian assistance. For the Taliban, it's a lifeline, validation from a regional and global player. Given the difficulties in its ties with Pakistan, Taliban has been distancing itself from its former benefactor in order to show its independence to foreign donors. As Kabul warms to New Delhi, Islamabad's alliance with the Taliban is cracking like parched earth. Here's some context for you. In September 2021, just days after Kabul returned to power, the then ISIF chief Faiz Hamid made a triumphant visit to Kabul. After all, Pakistan's spy agency and its ideological fellow traveler, the Taliban, go back a long way. In fact, the Haqqani network, a Pakistani ally and a part of the Taliban, were the first to enter Kabul on 15th August, the day Kabul fell. Hamid was seen sipping tea in the foyer of a five-star hotel in the Afghan capital. He interacted briefly with a Western journalist.
People in the Taliban?
I'm not clear. Maybe right now.
What do you hope will come out of what do you hope is going to happen now in Afghanistan? What is your
I have just landed and we are working for peace and security in Afghanistan. Don't worry. Everything will.
But everything was not okay. In February 2023, Hamid's successor, Nadeem Anjum, returned to Kabul, this time with Defense Minister Khwaja Asif in tow. The mood was far from celebratory because the Taliban was no longer doing Pakistan's bidding. And that's something that the generals in Rawalpindi, who use Afghanistan for strategic depth and treat the Taliban as their proxy, simply could not digest. What hurt them was that the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which fought alongside the Taliban against US-backed NATO forces in Afghanistan, was now turning on Pakistan. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is a terror group in areas bordering Afghanistan and Pakistan. Clearly, chickens had come home to roost for the Pakistan that's accused of being the epicenter of terrorism. What hurt generals in Pakistan even more was that the Taliban was not persuading or prevailing upon the TTP to stop its attacks inside Pakistan, especially after the TTP called off a ceasefire on 28 November 2022. What made things worse was that all this was happening at a time when Pakistan's economy was fragile and the country was dependent on foreign aid. Adding insult to injury for Pakistan, Taliban's Defense Minister Mullah Muhammad Yaqub was publicly leading efforts to build relations with India. He even urged the Indian government to train the Taliban. A miffed Pakistani government retaliated by deporting more than 3 million Afghan migrants and refugees. Now, you should know something else. At the heart of the Pakistan-Afghanistan tensions lies the Durand Line, the de facto border the British colonial rulers drew in 1893. No Afghan government has recognized or accepted the 2,640-kilometer-long Durand Line. The Taliban calls it a colonial wound, dividing the Pashtuns who live on either side of the Durand Line. The relationship between Taliban and Pakistan has worsened so dramatically that on 9th October, Pakistan bombed Kabul. The timing of the aerial attack coincided with Muttaqi's maiden visit to India. An Indian analyst, Brahma Chilani, says It exposes Islamabad's desperation to reassert control over a regime slipping from its grip. Clearly, the rapprochement between India and Taliban rule Afghanistan has touched a raw nerve in Pakistan. So to conclude, India-Taliban ties have come a long way since 1999, when Pakistani terrorists hijacked Indian Airlines flight that was en route from Kathmandu to New Delhi. It eventually landed in Taliban-held Kandahar. One passenger was murdered. 155 passengers and crew were held hostage for 8 days. The standoff ended only after India released 3 Pakistani terrorists from its jails. Masood Azhar, who came to lead the Jaish-e-Mohammed and masterminded the 2019 Pulwama attack; Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, who later kidnapped and killed US journalist Daniel Pearl; and Mushtaq Ahmed Zargar. But not before a team of officials flew in from New Delhi to negotiate with the Taliban and the hijackers. It included a man who is today India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval.